In Tamil Nadu, temples are so much endowed with lands, sites and buildings. They should be getting 6,000 crores per annum easily by fair rent. But they are getting less than 200 crores because a lot of things pass under the table because of the inefficient and corrupt administration of Babus. You take Andhra Bank, you take the State Bank of India, you calculate the total income and you calculate the how much they're spending for audit fees. Of course, they are all huge institutions. So percentage wise will be very limited. But even if you take mid-sized companies or something like that, you will not find anybody paying 4% of the income as audit fees. The temples were repositories of the community wealth. That is the most important purpose of the temple. So temple has to sustain dharma.
Namaste. Welcome to another episode of my sit-down interviews with wonderful people, leaders in their own areas who are making a big impact to the cause of nationalism, to the cause of Rashtravad, which I see as different as nationalism, to the furthering of Hindu Dharma. And today with me is Sri R Ramesh. He is one of the leading people taking on the Tamil Nadu government, specifically on the HR&CE Act, to try and free Hindu temples from the government control. Focus largely is on Tamil Nadu, and he'll talk more about it, but it's also, pan-India movement for freeing Hindu temples. There is a nuance in this which is based on my recent conversations around not trying to fight HR&CE, but actually work with them and perhaps do external audits, and that would be a big battle won for us. So I'm going to touch upon all of these topics, the importance of temples, what was the promise of the state government, the problems of family temples in Tamil Nadu particularly, or actually anywhere, in Kerala also, and why people want government to come in, and then the whole issue of audits, external audits of temples. So welcome, Ramesh ji. It's been a long association we've had,
yes.
But we are now meeting after a very long gap of a few years.
Yes.
We were working closely earlier together, ups and downs in my roller coaster of working with you to try and resolve this problem once and for all. But
you were a big help in me furthering cases in the dharmic cause of temples. You are a big help.
Yeah. Ramesh ji. Can I start with first maybe just starting out with what, for our audience, what is the importance of temples? Are they places of worship? Are they great architecture? Are they places where Hindus congregate? What are all the contours of temples?
Okay, I would love to say it from our Vedas and Upanishads and our Shastras, but I am going to quote Descartes.
Okay.
Descartes' fundamental statement is, I think, therefore I am. For a Sanatan person, I try to use the word Hindu less and less.
I try to use it more and more, thanks to Swami Vijnananda.
Okay. Okay. For a person following Sanatan Dharma, he is because he follows the Dharma, and the Dharma is embodied the maximum in our temple system. You asked a very good, you mentioned a very good point. Is it a place of worship? Yes, it is a place of worship, but it is not just a place of worship. Some other religions have halls of prayer, assemblies coming together for prayer. No, it is not that. Temple is a place where our Bhagwan is residing. By mantras and by shastras, following shastras, we have implored the Bhagavan to come and live inside a temple. We have done prana pradishta for the deity there, and Bhagavan or Devi, she happily resides there and looks after us. And we go there to meet our father and our mother. In Tamil, there's a concept called Ammayappan. Bhagwan is both mother and father. The word Amma means mother and Appa means father. The coined word is Ammayappan, which starts with the mother. So, temple is a place for worship. Temple is a place to go re-energize yourself. Temple is a place where you go and then you have darshan and you come straight in front of Bhagwan. The vibrations there, the cosmic energy there, everything there befalls on you in a most blessing manner. That is what temples are. And temples are constructed following Shilpa Shastra and Agama Shastra. It's a complete science which helps us build temples. There are certain open spaces in the temples which should not be violated. There are some enclosures in the temple which are there for certain purposes. The worship, the festivals, the rituals, all of them are important. And I am a Hindu because I am a temple worshipper. We can say that. It is as important as that. And you cannot imagine Bharat without temples. You cannot even imagine a village without temples.
Yeah.
I come from Tamil Nadu.
Kumbakonam.
Kumbakonam is full of temples. Kanchipuram is full of temples. Madurai is full of temples. In Tanjore, where I was born, we have one of the most spectacular temples, the Bragadishwara temple built by Rajaraja Chola. And we also have many, many small temples there. Some ancient, some modern, some recent, some not so recent. And all these temples are important to us. Now, speaking of Tamil Nadu, it is also important to record that there are more than 400 temples which are 1000 plus years old.
400 temples, 1000. Brihadishwara included.
Bragadishwara included. And Bragadishwara is only 1010. There are another 398 or 399 which are 1000, 1500 years old, 2000 years old. The Chidambaram temple is more than 2000 years old.
Oh, I didn't know that. So built over and over the
again.
Same place, yes.
So we have temple worship since time immemorial.
Yeah. So for all the people who keep hearing from, there is a lot of narrative among Muslims that the Vedas did not have Murti Puja. So there is a whole series of my conversations with one of my mentors, Shankar Bhardwaj Khandavali. Please have a look at that. Who are the Devatas? And you will perhaps learn more why, while there may not be a temple architecture in the Vedas, the worship of a form of a Devata is inherent in the Vedas. So there is nothing called that there is one God worship. That nonsense does not exist in Hindu Dharma. Let's be absolutely clear about it. There is no one God sitting out there who's judging us and sending us to in heaven and hell and
And forever.
And forever. For a mere life of 70, 80 years, forever. Pathetic idea. Anyways, let's...
The Vedas, if we can say, are much general in nature. And the Agamas which are culled from the Vedas, which have their origin from the Vedas, they are all about temple worship.
Temple worship. Some say, of course, the Agamas are parallel systems to the Vedas, but there's nothing which is parallel and not intermeaning. They're intertwined and
intertwined, concomitant, coexistent, coeval, whatever you want to say.
Correct. So, Rameshji, I want to, you mentioned temples and the importance and Prana Pratishtha of the deity of the Bhagwan over there. What is the stand of, tell our audience about deity ownership, that the deity is the owner of the temple and the lands and all of that. Tell us, how does that work? What is the law? What was the British role? How does the current Supreme Court recognize it? So tell us a little bit.
The British could not really understand it. And
I heard that the British actually defined the deity laws and all.
Correct. They had occasions to come into study our temple system. There is a district collector, or we call district magistrate in these areas, by name Ravan Shah. In the 1870s, he was the collector of South Arcot district in Tamil Nadu, and he realized The temple is the hub of each village, each society. And that's why the maximum lands belong to the temples, because the British government, they came, or the East India Company, they came in the guise of collecting land revenue. And these land revenues are to mainly come from the temples. And they were all in such disarray because of Mughal rule ended here, Tipu Sultan was extinguished, so much confusion at that time. And they were setting up an administration system. They realized if the temples flourish, the villages and everybody flourish. And in certain cases, they paid the temple upfront, the dues, and they collected from the tillers. Can you believe it? An ostensibly Christian government, they did that. And the temple started flourishing again. They started ensuring the temples are getting their due income on time, and the income is utilized for the purposes of the temples. They classified the temples into chiller, madhyama, and the big ones. The chiller, they never interfered.
Like really small temples.
Really small temple, they never interfered. The madhyama temples, they have to ensure that the accounts are presented once a year to the Tahsildar of the region. The big temples, they ensured the income is properly collected. The contingents of temple employees, musicians, pujaris, barbers, washermen, craftsmen, everybody was taken care of. The salaries were all given.
So the British were actually running it, or what do you mean by
they were
ensuring?
not running it.
So what do you mean by ensuring?
They were ensuring that first of all, the temples cannot run without income.
Yeah, that is cool.
So they made it to the extent possible the income reaches the temple. And once it reaches
people's donations. Income reaches
No, income from lands.
Income from lands reaches
in Tamil Nadu, half the lands belong to temples at that time.
Okay.
So once the income reaches, it is utilized for the temple purposes.
So they were basically ensuring that whoever is renting the temple lands is not fleecing away the money.
Is not fleecing away the money.
So that was basically the government.
It was only part of the income which was being given to the temple. They were ensuring that. And because they did such a good job, the missionaries started objecting the work of the East India Company, their collectors, and the objection went up to the British Parliament.
It's so interesting. Never heard this. Is there a document around this?
Yes. Everything is documented.
Wonderful. Would love to share.
1840s, there was a huge hue and cry, large hue and cry, and the then British government asked the East India Company to keep away from the temples. Even then, in Tamil Nadu at least, these good collectors, these good administrators, they were very careful in handing over the temples. So, like in Tanjore district, which is famous for ancient temples, there were 2 or 3 mutts, famous mutts, with really tapasvis being the Matathipattis there, who are doing wonderful job. So they handed over 10 temples here, 12 temples here, 18 temples there and all that. They distributed the temples. In Madurai they did that. In Tirunelveli they did that. And then only they went out. In 1863, the British came with the Religious Endowments Act, 1863, which said something fantastic, which the independent Indian governments have not said. They said the appointment of trustees of these temples will not be in the hands of any government authority.
Okay.
So temple trustees, the Hindus will take care of.
Okay, just a little background question. Before the British put this under some sort of law as trustees, I'm assuming there must be some sort of a trust construct at that time.
No, see, basically...
How was it running before that? Was still trustees?
A temple is called a Devasthan. A sthan where the Deva resides. So, Devasthan.
Yeah.
In Tamil, it's called Devasthanam. In Malayalam, it's called Devaswam. All origins from the same thing. So, from the time of Rajaraja Chola, the Chola period, 1000 years ago, there is something called a Sabha, Urar Sabha, that means Grama Sabha.
Okay.
The Grama Sabha was always run by elders, responsible elders, And one of the conditions for the elders is that you should be a propertied man. You should have properties in that location, and you should have been a resident of that place.
Very nice. So they were ensuring that they were good on artha. They had no need of money.
They had no need of money, and good people only would be, their names only will be put in a pot. The pot is called Kotam in Tamil. And the palm leaf, the piece of palm leaf, their name would be written. Supposing this Grama Sabha needed 10 trustees or 10 administrators, and 15 are qualified. They will put the 15 names in the. Then a child of 5 years old or 6 years old will be asked to come and pick up. The name that gets picked up the first will be the Sabha president.
Achha.
And the next 9 will be the Sabha members.
This is how it was working traditionally?
It was working traditionally.
And this is
Dr. Swamy has written a book on this.
Wonderful.
Okay. This is the Tamil Nadu way system of running the village, running the temples. Then the kings, the chieftains, the prabhus, or even the temple dancers who are rich, the ladies, who had built temples on their own, did not own these temples at all, because the day before the consecration of the temple, there is a ritual by which mantras are uttered facing the sun. Usually it is at sunset, I am told. And the king who has built the temple, or the chieftain, or the queen, or anybody, any Prabhu, Mahaprabhu who has built the temple, he has to take water, say the mantras, and offer it to the community, saying that by Bhagwan's grace, I have built this temple for this community. I am offering it to this community. Let the community members take care of this temple generation after generation, till such time the Chandra and Surya are there. The kings never had ownership of temples.
So they are giving up whatever claim to ownership they had.
They never claimed ownership.
But by doing that ritual, they are
completely
absolving themselves.
So the temples were always under the, however big the temple, it was always under the local community. The king would have some special endowment in the temple. The queen would have some special endowment, or some.
What does that mean?
That means, let's say, there is a festival to be carried out in certain month. And for that, the king has allotted certain lands. And the income from the lands will be used only for the festival. So how will he ensure it? He will have an officer who will ensure that the income is realized and given to the temple for the festival, and the festival is properly conducted.
Got it.
That way the king's official will be there, but not to run the temple, but only to run the endowment.
Yeah.
So this is how the system worked.
Yeah.
And temples had a lot of institutions attached to them. All medium-sized temple or big-sized temple, definitely there will be institutions. To begin with, there will be goshalas. Then as the size increases, patashalas, regular patashalas, Veda patashalas, Agama patashalas. Then there will be dance music schools. There will be practical teaching of arts, craftsmanship, and all that. Temples were
so the community which was running the temples would start parking money, allocating money to all these different activities. First they would start with Gaushala, then they would say,
even today, you take a big temple. Let's forget Tirupati for a moment. You take Madurai temple, Meenakshi temple, or Ranganath Swami temple in Trichy. Not even 1% or 2% would be required for the puja expenses. The flowers, the oil, the milk, whatever puja material.
You're saying 1%?
Not even 1%
of the total money
would be spent on the puja, daily worship, for which people come in hundreds, have darshan, pay obeisance and all that. So what do you do with the rest? The temples were repositories of the community wealth. That is the most important purpose of the temple. So temple has to sustain dharma.
Wonderful.
Puja is almost automatic. When you have little more money, you do festivals. And once the festivals are marked, during the year you have this month you have this festival for 3 days. During this month you have a Brahmotsavam, which is for 12 days. All these are already marked and funds allotted. You will always have surplus funds.
Wonderful. Rameshji, help me understand the community here. What do you mean by that? Is that the village where the temple is made? Is that a jati, a collection of jatis? Is it a much larger Brihadeshwara, for example? Such a massive Gopuram would have been built not only for a small community or a village, but must be for, I don't know how large, for the entire kingdom of Rajaraja Chola.
Rajaraja Chola was not a king, he was an emperor.
Not only in India, but also in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, he had Maldives, he had
all of this.
To Java, Indonesia and all that. But his vision of the temple, Bragat Ishwara, Ishwara of the world. Okay. And the name he gave to Parvati in the temple is Bhuvanam Moondrodai Nayahi in Tamil, which means the lady who has the Triloka. All the 3 worlds are
hers.
Yeah. Okay. So that is a Bragat temple. It's a huge temple. And it was completely different from the temples that was built up to his time. There was more open space. And what we call Gopura is not actually the Gopura in Tanjore temple. It is the Vimana. The tower above the deity is called Vimana. The tower at the entrance of the temple is called Gopura.
Okay, so this is
Vimana.
Vimana, I did not know. I have not even visited Brihadeshwara, right?
So, all the temples, including Arunachaleshwar temple, which the Gopurams are built by Krishnadevaraya and even by Nayaks and others, huge 200 feet, 220 feet Gopurams. They are all at the entrance.
Yeah. I was in Tenkasi.
Tenkasi,
massive Gopuram.
Beautiful.
So temple inside, huge open spaces,
majestic.
Beautiful temple. So this was my first entry into a big Tamil temple, and I did not understand the idea of Gopuram. So then I understood, okay, Gopuram is the entry only. The temple
and can be seen from miles.
And I thought the whole temple would be like that, but that was different. So then I learned.
So now you have it. The Gopuram is at the entrance. Some temples have 4 Gopurams in 4 directions.
Yes.
Like the Chidambaram temple.
Okay.
Tiruvannamalai temple. Now, Rajaraja's idea was the Vimana above the Lord.
Got it.
And the Shivling there is massive. It is said that he brought that single rock from Narmada, banks of Narmada. So, the Tanjore temple again was administered by the local community.
I want to stop you here. It's such a beautiful thing. These buggers tell us there was nothing like India. Imagine Rajaraja Chola, who is an emperor of the entire Bay of Bengal, controller of the Indian Ocean, the entire Indian Ocean rim from Singapore to Java, Indonesia, everything under his lordship, is actually going to Narmada, which is probably a different kingdom, under a different political entity, and bringing a massive rock to build a Shivalinga here. And there is no enmity between these two people. These two political entities. No. They are coexisting in a common idea called Bharat.
His real name is in Tamil. But why does he assume Rajaraja? Because the court language is Sanskrit.
I did not know that. Rajaraja Chola's court language is Sanskrit?
Yes. All the diplomatic communications, everything went in Sanskrit.
Oh, wow. Nice.
He named the temple Rajarajechura. That is in Sanskrit. And if you see the inscription, they will start with Swasti Sri, Sanskrit word. There are all these Chola temples, Pallava temples, Pandya temples, they have both Sanskrit inscriptions and the Tamil inscriptions.
And the lovely DMK claims Rajaraja Chola and wants to eradicate Sanatan Dharma.
He established the Tanjore temple under Magudagama. And he's also put it in the inscription, I have built this temple in the Saika Padam of Magudagama, which is all Vedic.
Sorry, coming back to community, you were saying.
So the
Brihat
community
temple.
is responsible.
No. Help me understand, what does community mean here? So Rajaraja Chola made this huge temple. Who is the community?
Community includes many jatis.
Hmm.
Okay. We had a system of Kshatriyas protecting the land and the Vaisyas taking care of the commerce and other things, and the tillers providing us with food and all that. The Brahmins were teachers, pujaris in the Agama temples. There are pujaris from all castes, even today and even those days. And they all came together in a temple administration. So there have been people of different castes, different jatis, and if their name gets picked up, they will be there.
But okay, but I mean, I'm saying that if you can help me understand and absorb a little bit, what is a community? Is it a village community?
Village
is it
community.
A town community? It is like
it will be a village community. It will be a town community. See, I will tell you a fine example now, which is happening now. There is a large town called Vellore. Okay, 70 kilometers from Kanchipuram. There is a Jalagandeshwar temple. The temple's inside a fort, beautiful sculptures and all that. But the fort was occupied by invaders for some time, and the temple went out of puja, and the shivling was kept elsewhere. Giving due credit to Indira Gandhi, during her period, the temple was restored to pujas in spite of the objections made by Archaeological Society of India.
Okay.
The temple is still under the Archaeological Society's maintenance.
Okay.
Indira Gandhi allowed it, and the locals came together in a big way. They renewed the worship there, like what we are going to do in Ayodhya or what we are going to do in Hampi or whatever. This is a precedent.
Yeah, but Ayodhya, for example, is a lot of political nomination.
Lot of political nomination, and there's something else I want to say about it, but not now.
Yeah, fair enough. But so that is why I'm trying to understand.
The Sampradayas should never be alienated in any place of worship of Hindu Sanatan Dharma. The Sampradaya should be followed strictly. Everybody has a role, but the Sampradaya has the main role.
Yeah, so see, Ramesh, what I'm trying to understand is the contours of community in the sense of that, suppose I build a new temple, as an example. Who should be the community? I can form a trust. But what if I were to, okay, yes, I'm not a king or nowhere near the caliber of all those greats, but now tell me, if I were to do that offering that I have built a temple for this community, what does that mean? Suppose I make it in...
You have built a temple as an individual, you're saying?
Yes, and suppose I build it outside Delhi, which is a ambition I have to build a temple.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to own none of that. Suppose I were to do that ritual and say I offer it to the community. Who is this community?
No, you can fix it at the time of consecration. You can fix it how dharmic persons can come together. One is the tacit approval of the government of India.
Okay.
When Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Okay, I do not appreciate a lot of things she did, but this I appreciate.
Sure.
And the Kanchi Shankaracharya gave a huge blessing, and his devotees came together. Everybody came together in reviving this temple.
Okay. So Kanchi Shankaracharya got involved.
Now, according to his guidance, all the worthy people to begin with in Vellore were made trustees.
Very good. And
24 persons are still trustees in that temple. 24
of the original.
From the system of forms that is still continued.
Okay, got it.
And this is not under HR&CE. The temple has teachers, has accountants, has doctors, people from all walks of life.
As trustees.
Simple people, rickshaw pullers,
Dalits. Now called Dalits.
Yeah.
They were just, yeah, okay.
Okay. Women, 24 persons, but qualified practicing Hindus.
There must be a definition of how to pick them.
There must be a definition. It's okay. Now they know, because it is local population, they know who is a temple worshipper, who is a dharmic person and all.
So that temple picks people from local population. It's not that I or any Tamil person sitting in Delhi can be part of that.
No. Ideally, it should be persons who can go to the temple at least twice a week.
Yeah, okay. So there are some rules like this. For example,
I would like to bring new rules.
Property
like you are a temple trustee. Suddenly, one person in your family gets converted to another religion. You should lose your trusteeship.
Even if one person in your
Even
family.
if one person.
Not only you, but
Because if you're not able to sustain dharma in your home, sorry, we don't think you're qualified to
very nice. Okay.
maintain dharma in the temple.
So all Rajas would or the Madhadhishwaras or like Kanchi Shankaracharya or any Sampradaya head would define such rules, perhaps along with the king, along with some sort of
See,
administration.
what we can do is, we can pick up the rules from our history, from our dharmic history.
And they're available.
They're available.
Are these also documented
From the Grama Sabha rules and all that. And today, you need to modify them slightly because of the societal changes. You have to ensure good women are there. You have to ensure that people without money are also there.
How will we select? So let's take the example of Vaishno Devi. Let's take the example of Vaishno Devi. It is a temple sacred to a very, very large part of North India. If we say it is run by a community local to Jammu, I don't know how it will work.
See,
it will be people from all over who are. How will
you take Chidambaram Temple. For 20 centuries, it has been administered by the Dikshitas. Have they stopped anybody, any Hindu from any part of India saying that it is our temple, you do not come and offer worship here?
No.
The regular Bharatiya citizen, he or she, they want to go to Kedarnath, they want to go to Badrinath, they want to go to Kanyakumari, they want to go to Rameshwaram. For what purpose? They want to go have darshan of the Murti there. Whatever pujas they can do, they can.
Yes.
Vaishnava Devi, similarly, with Jammu, supposing the Sampradaya is entitled to administer it, it has become hugely famous. Money pours in like anything. Now, there are some responsibilities, there are some accountability, there are some need to be transparency.
Which is the case, which has been the case, and the Pandits over there were hugely, I think, if I have not experienced it, only heard that they were blamed.
Okay.
The same thing with...
Now, recently, 2 months ago, I went to Varanasi and Gaya to do Pind Tarpan and all that for my father. I visited many temples. To my shock, in one temple in Gaya, the Pandit Ji, I would still call him Pandit Ji, was wearing jeans and t-shirt and his mouth was full of pan. And he was leaning on the wall like this. When I went there, I was shocked. I had an inclination, perhaps he's the Pandit, but he looks like the Pandit. But the way he's sitting there and chewing pan, he may not be. After I was almost like not focusing on the deity.
Yeah, in pain, anger,
in pain,
all of this, absolutely.
Frustrated and all that. Then this man says, Dakshindo. The moment I knew he's the Pandit. I asked him, क्या jeans pant पहन के इधर बैठते पान करते हैं क्या है? And coming from Tamil Nadu, we don't see this kind of scenes.
Yeah, that's not been my experience.
And if you go to Kerala, they are so strict.
Yeah,
they are so strict. Yeah. For them, the acharam or the shuddh practice is very, very important.
My friend and our lawyer Anand Prasad actually keeps talking about this important aspect of the temple and of the deity, that it is the Dikshitar who is offering the archana on a daily basis, is the person, it's his energy also I don't know.
No, it's very important. The energy
entwined with the deity.
The energy in the Garbhagraha, in the sanctum, is the most important. We can sit on a bank of a river or under a tree and still offer the same worship to Bhagwan, perhaps even more focused. But why do we go to the temple? It is because of the Prana Pratishtha. And the Prana Pratishtha has happened as per Agama principles, and we need to sustain it. That is why temples are usually, consecration happens in a cycle of 12 years or more, to maintain the Prana Pratishtha. Now, I am not blaming the Panditji in Gaya or Puri or Pandharpur. Pandharpur, they lost it because, let me tell you, the Puri temple, at least on record, it had 44,000 acres of land. There are so many Pandits there or Pujaris there. If the land is endowed for their maintenance, let's take the Pandas of Puri. A lot of complaints keep coming there, saying that if you go there, they say something and then say they demand so much money and all that. And if they don't pay that money, you are either abused or they take the money forcibly or something. Similar case in Pandharpur or some other temples and all that. Now, there are two angles to it. What they're doing is wrong, definitely wrong. They know no other avocation. They have only the temple as their profession, as everything. Now, a Panda or a Pujari in a temple has to have a particular kind of a training, which will not only equip him to do the puja, it will also make him a person worthy to be next to the deity.
Who will offer that training?
Now, that training is sadly lacking because I'm involved so much in temples.
Who will ensure that there is compliance to the training offered?
It's going to be a big effort. That we don't need to beat around the bush or hide the truth when it is out in the open.
Okay.
Now we should not take away from this because somebody tomorrow is going to come. They're not going to come for the love of the deity. They're going to come for either getting a job or getting money. Now, first of all these pujaris should be given a certain amount of Vedic education. I have always seen a difference in the Dikshitas who have completed their Vedic education and the Dikshitas who know only Puja Paddhati. They know a few puja mantras. There's a vast difference.
Very nice.
A person who has undergone 7 years or 8 years of Vedic training under a guru and has learned the Vedas, mastered the Vedas, their behavior is far different from a person who is lacking in all this. So we need to give them proper training and proper Vedic education, value education, Shastra education. In the same Gaya, for doing Tarpan, and after the Tarpan, we were feeding some students from the Veda Padashala. Some 12 or 14 or 16 boys came of different ages, from the age of 10 to 18, 20. I could not believe how well they behaved, the maturity they had, and the outlook they had. It is the education, Vedic education, the Shastra education which makes the difference. This is seriously lacking in most of the Pandas, most of the Pujaris. And they cannot have this because their first requirement of food, shelter and clothing is only by the little income they grab at the temples.
Yeah.
And for more than a generation, they've been taught to grab. You have to get those 44,000 acres back and ensure it is not only for the temple, but for all those people who serve the temple, including the pujaris, including the musicians, including the drummer, including the barber, including the person who does the washerman services.
We have assumed that they must live in poverty.
Yeah, they must live in poverty.
And even then judge them that.
And we will keep
blaming.
I'm not defending them for their behavior. Their behavior is wrong.
Yeah, you've clarified.
But look at how they've been treated, how they've been denied their proper income, the due income.
Yeah, for 100 years, generation after generation.
Yeah. And this Puri Jagannath temple is one place where the atrocities continue to happen. I have never seen wider roads in India than the Puri road, where the Jagannath chariot happened. Still, they have demolished 800-year-old mutts. Beginning with the library of the mutt, they had demolished there. The government in power. Calling such mutts as encroachers. How can a mutt that has been there for 800 years be an encroacher? All sort of atrocities happen to the majority population in this country, section by section. And when it happens to one section, the rest of the community do not go and defend them, do not go and protect them, then it is easy to destroy the entire community.
Yeah, I know, because we've somehow, I think the hope, or we have delegated or abdicated to the state, that help us. And so when the state takes an action like that, I don't know, it's somehow this king behavior, that this is the dharmic state. I think that's how we operate without even realizing or doing an audit of how these people are.
Even today, governments come before High Court or Supreme Court and say, earlier the kings maintained the temples, now we are maintaining it.
Yeah.
The only argument is, the immediate argument is, not the only argument, many arguments are there. The immediate argument is, the kings were all Hindu kings. Are you willing to call yourself Hindu government? Let me tell you one point that every one of your audience should know. The Indian Constitution has given fundamental religious rights under Article 25 to profess, practice and propagate. They have also given denominational rights that each Sampradaya can establish and maintain their own institutions.
Yeah.
Today there is a Shwetambar sect Jain temple. And because they are also called Hindus, other sections of Hindus should not go and dictate terms there. It is their Sampradaya temple. They will ensure how the pujas happen, how the administration happens. I am just giving an example. Now, there are no fundamental religious rights that are available only to minorities and not available to majorities. There is nothing. The so-called majority-minority rights are in the sphere of education in Article 30. Article 29 helps anybody to preserve their identity as a culture. Nobody talks about that in the courts. Article 29 is hardly taken up. Only Dr Swamy took it when the Jallikattu case came. And he won it. It is Dr Swamy who won the case for the Jallikattu. Not many are aware of it. Now, the right to profess for a Hindu, how does he profess? If he is in the company of Hindus, he says, I am a Hindu. If he is in the company of everybody, he almost keeps quiet. And if he is sure he is in the company of seculars, he is not even going to say he is a Hindu, he is going to say, I am a secular person. I am all for Santa Claus and whatever. Then, the next right is the right to practice. In Tamil Nadu, temples are so much endowed with the lands, sites and buildings. They should be getting 6,000 crores per annum, easily, by fair rent. But they are getting less than 200 crores because a lot of things pass under the table because of the inefficient and corrupt administration of Babus. If you don't have enough funds, how can you build hospitals? How can Hindu schools be constructed? How can Hindu colleges be constructed?
Of course.
So, the practice is restricted because of government control.
Yeah.
And propagation, when you don't have when you are struggling, when you are gasping for breath, oxygen, how are you going to propagate?
Yeah, there is no propagation.
If you fail to practice, there cannot be propagation. Yeah. So, the fundamental rights under 25 are denied consistently and regularly to Hindus. What about the denominational rights that each Sampradaya, each sect, each denomination can establish and maintain their own religious institutions?
Just for the lawyers, you use the word, I know I've seen you, but I'm just trying to put this on camera. You use the term denomination and Sampradaya interchangeably.
Yes.
Yes.
Some of us who are fighting to bring or defend the tradition in Sabarimala were shocked to see the constitutional bench calling the Sabarimala temple a unique temple, almost a cult, if you can use that word, a unique practice. Only in Sabarimala, you would see the temple is open only a few days in a month. Okay? It is called the Kavu temple, it means forest temple. Ayyappa is there doing penance, he is not supposed to be disturbed. He has given permission to open the temple a few days in a month, do pujas. If devotees who observe a vrat come to him for worship, it is only in Sabarimala you have to wear a mala, start the vrat, keep away from birth or death, follow brahmacharya, avoid onion, garlic, have only sattvic food. only twice a day. You do it for a mandala, which is 40 days or 48 days. Then you go there. Unique practice, unique paddhati, unique system. They are no different from other Hindus. That's what the Supreme Court said. They said they are not a denomination. We got shocked. Then some of us put our heads together and we did research. We found the most obvious truth that has been well hidden right before our eyes. That is, in 1987, the Parliament adopted the Hindi version of the Constitution. The translation was done in 1949 itself. It should have come along with the English Constitution. Probably, I don't know who stopped it. Maybe the great Pandit did it. Somebody stopped it, and it didn't happen till 1987. The term religious denomination occurring in Article 26, the equivalent, every religious denomination has an equivalent in the Hindi version which says Prati Ek Dharmik Sampradaya.
Very nice.
Ya Kisi Anuban.
So this is on law, it's a constitution, it has been adopted.
Yeah, but in 1954, Parliament. Supreme Court in Shirur Mutt case, it defines denomination, taking the meaning given in a 1898 Oxford Dictionary.
Which comes from, I don't know.
It comes from a Christian background, because they have this Amish, Protestant, Catholic, Seventh-day Adventist, Pentecostal. So, we have been denied fundamental rights under 25 and more importantly under 26. On the one hand, Supreme Court says, if you are a denomination, no government authority should enter a temple for administering it. Even if somebody is doing mismanagement, you remove that person who is doing the mismanagement and put somebody else from the denomination. That is what is being done in companies.
Yes.
That is what is being done in education societies.
You come in when there is an issue and then you resolve somehow, set practices back in order and get out.
Yeah, if the board of directors commit fraud or mismanagement, it is only the shareholders who can remove them and put somebody else.
Yeah. So, Sir Ramesh, let's come back to this, maybe the whole theme of our talk today, or at least the point of instigation for having this conversation with you is about doing external audits. So currently the audits are done in HR&CE by who?
Okay. Now before that, one important point, the whole HR&CE Act, the Hindu Religious and Charitable Endowments Act, it had its origin in 1927 as the Madras Hindu Religious Endowments Act. It was an arbitrary act, understandable under a foreign government. 1950 we get the constitution, we get the fundamental rights we just talked about. Still a more arbitrary Hindu Religious and Charitable Endowments, 1951 comes, and that act creates a department, government department, to control our temples administration. Okay. In 1951, there are cases filed against this act. On 13th December 1951, two judges of the Madras High Court struck down about 20 sections of the 1951 Act. The matter goes to Supreme Court. Supreme Court gives a breath of life to 4 or 5 sections, but it holds the other sections struck down as unconstitutional. What would you expect a government of 1954 to do? Okay, we are not talking about government of 2022 or 2023. 1954, we just got freedom. There are a lot of so-called upright people in the government forming, especially the Congress. They brought the section struck down by the Supreme Court back into the 1959 Act.
As legislation.
Yeah, and some even more arbitrary sections also. But the Hindu lawyers, the Hindu activists, if any, they slept. Till such time the 2009 Chidambaram Temple Case started happening. Nobody even thought about it. Now, government has come into a temple saying that we are there to ensure better management.
Yes. That is the premise of
That is the premise. Now, there is an article which not in the Constitution which not many are aware. It's a small article. It's an amendment. It's an insertion. Article 31-A bracket 1, bracket B.
Hmm.
I would love our audience to look it up. Article 31A, bracket 1, bracket B, which says, any law providing for the takeover of the management of a property, either for reason of public good or for the reasons of better management, will not be hit as arbitrary or unconstitutional if it is for a limited period. Which means the whole concept of taking over the management is only to correct the mismanagement and to give it back. It has to be for a limited period. But Hindu temples, once taken over by government, continues to be with the government. Okay, we park this also in the parking lot and move to the better management concept. And the better management concept, one of the fundamental things is accountability and transparency. Anybody and everybody will agree there. Okay, first of all, what happens in this administration, especially in the administration of a public charitable trust or the character of a public charitable trust which is there in the temple, because a lot of people put money in the hundis or they give donations otherwise, and they expect that money to be utilized in a dharmic and specific purpose.
Correct.
Okay. In fact, section 23 of the HR&CE Act 1959, it gives power to the commissioner of the HR&CE department, the head of the HR department. The main power that is given is, his job is to ensure that the due income from the properties of the temple are collected and that income is utilized only for the purposes for which the temples were established or they existed. That means you cannot use the money for any purpose other than the purposes of the temple, which is Sanatan Dharma.
But his job is only for collection.
His job is only to collect collection and also ensure that the money is properly spent. So he has to sit at a distance.
Two aspects. So the money is also properly spent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
For promotion of
the temple purpose.
Temple purpose. Okay.
The temple is, supposing Rajaraja Chola, why did he establish the temple? He established temple for Shiva worship.
Yeah.
So anything connected with Shiva worship, Shiva devotees, welfare, in a dharmic way.
Sure.
That money has to be spent.
Yeah.
That money cannot be spent for a secular leader's death anniversary or whatever.
Right.
Or for buying a Innova Krista car for the minister of the HR&CE department. So, okay, I'm just citing here. Now, transparency and accountability, is it there? We'll go to that and then we'll go to audit. Under the RTA Act, section 4, even without anybody asking, the public institution by itself should publish a long list of information which is already available with them. On their own, they have to do it. How the institution works, what are the system of management, who takes the decisions, and all the important decisions are published and all that. Similarly, let's take a temple. Let's say a temple gets 12 crores rupees a year.
Yeah.
An average of 1 crore rupee a year. This income comes from its properties, this income comes from hundis, this income comes from this darshan tickets or whatever and all that. Average, it comes to 1 crore. Now, what are the expenses you have for the temple? Puja expenses, festival expenses, salary expenses, maintaining the cleanliness, hygiene, etc., etc. It comes to 40% of. Now, how much you are left with? You are left with 60%. Okay. Now, how do you spend that money? The HR&CE Act says you keep 25% as a reserve fund, which is a good provision.
Okay.
Which is a very good provision. You keep 25% reserve, then only you calculate the surplus. Again, the HR&CE Act says give training to the archakas, because he is the person interceding between the god and the devotee. These devotees these archakas should ensure they are doing proper pujas and they are behaving properly with the devotees. Be patient with them, and if the devotee wants some, whatever possible puja can be done, they should help him about that. So then the hygiene for the devotees. Suddenly, 3 days in a year, 1 lakh people come to the temple, the medium-sized temple. Right. How do you ensure the queue discipline? How do you ensure the cleanliness and all that? The rest is surplus funds.
Okay.
The surplus funds can be utilized only for certain purposes according to thing, and they are all dharmic purposes. Okay, even if you start a school, that school should be teaching Hindu religion in a big way. You're starting a college, the college should be teaching Hindu religion as the main course.
That's not what the Sri Venkateshwara College, which is part of Delhi University,
Delhi
South
University,
Campus.
I think even a famous cricketer passed out of that thing.
Yeah.
Okay, now
but they don't teach Hindu religion.
That's Andhra Act. I have to check there.
I know, but
the money is not spent purely for the temple purpose.
That is so. See,
what they can do is they have BA, BSc, computer science. Okay, you have one course on Vedas, Agamas, some Shastras.
No, Sri Venkateshwara, nobody even knows probably in the college that this is associated and funded by the Tirupati temple.
Probably, is it?
100%. There are cricket grounds, cricketers who play there, all of this. Nobody knows. Venki they call it, no. Nobody even knows Sri Venkateshwara College. Nobody probably knows the name also properly. They call it Venki.
You know, I heard Tirumala Tirupati runs a university, not just a college, in Tirupati. A secular lady came as the vice chancellor. She immediately removed the picture of Srinivasa and Padmavati, the deities of Tirupati temple, and she put a Abrahamic religion's deity there. Can you imagine such thing happening in a denomination school of other faith? Anyway, now, after all this, we need to ensure not only transparency is there, accountability is there, there needs to be an efficient, effective audit. Most important thing, especially when public money is involved, when there is a dicta how the money should be spent, and for only the limited purposes for which the money has to be spent. Now, if you and I earn some substantial money, we go and spend something.
One point before you go to the audit even more, you had said RTI section 4 talks about public institutions must publish information about its own work, all of that.
Yeah,
so
it should regularly publish.
And so are you saying HR&CE does not do that?
HR&CE, you go and check the RTI web page today in Tamil Nadu, the page will not work.
Okay.
And it has not been working for years.
So it's clear
violation
of law.
Of the statute of the day.
Wonderful.
Now, HR&CE takes 12% as administration fee in Tamil Nadu, 4% as audit fee. Andhra, the total is 21.5%. You put 100 rupees in Hundi in Kalasti temple, 21 rupees 50 paise will go to the government. Not many are aware of that. In Karnataka, it is 10%. So things differ, but the loot continues. Now, you take Andhra Bank, you take the State Bank of India, you calculate the total income and you calculate how much they are spending for audit fees. Of course, they are all huge institutions. So percentage-wise, it will be very limited. But even if you take mid-sized companies or something like that, you will not find anybody paying 4% of the income as audit fees. Supposing I am the auditor for the Reliance Group or the Adani Group.
I am 4% of the entire revenue of Adani Group.
Adani Group, I do audit for only 1 year.
Yeah.
My 4 generations taken care of.
Yeah.
And hey, you are the government and you have come for saying that I am ensuring thing. Now, section 87 of the HR&CE Act says for those temples having more than 1,000 rupees income, you have to do external audit.
Okay.
Point number 1. Point number 2. For those temples,
how much rupees?
More than 1,000 rupees.
More than 1,000 rupees?
Yeah, per annum.
Just 1,000 rupees.
Okay. Now this act came in 1959.
Okay.
Prevalent from 1/1/1960.
Okay.
Now let's presume the 1,000 rupees of that day is equal to 1 lakh today.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
External audit. If you earn 5 lakhs a year, you have to do concurrent audit. Concurrent audit means audit has to be done as and when the expense happens. But in practice, this is a monthly audit. November month is over. The next 5 days, all the transactions, income and expenditure will be audited. You have to cash then and there. This is another rule in the HR&CE Act. The HR&CE Act in many respects is a good act, but no implementation. So, no concurrent audit. Now, why are you taking 4% if you are not doing external audit, if you are not taking some? The third point is 1976, the DMK government is dismissed by Indira Gandhi on 31st January 1976. The HR&CE department is so powerful and so devious. During the governor's rule, they pass a government order which says hereafter the audit of these temples will be done by an independent audit wing functioning under the commissioner of the HR&CE department. Okay. How can the audit wing be independent if it is going to be answerable of the person whom they are going to audit? They are going to audit the commissioner's performance, but they report to him. 1976. And the HR&CE Act says any modification of rule has to be put before the assembly and approval secured for such modification in the Act. Now they have changed this rule of our independent audit wing to HR&CE and all that. They should have put before the assembly, but that was governor's rule in 1976. So as soon as the next government formed, they should have placed it before the assembly and got approval. They didn't do it. So this is an illegal rule that was going on for many years.
Still going on?
Now I'll tell you what happened. In 2020, I filed a case before public interest litigation before Honorable Madras High Court. I said, this is what the Act says about external audit. They are not doing external audit. This is what the Act says about concurrent audit. They are not doing it. And the transfer of the audit to a department in the HR&CE itself is illegal for the reason stated.
Right.
No approval from the assembly. It's a fraud of the Act. Notice was issued. After that, no hearing. But what the government did is, they moved this audit wing to come under the finance department.
So they are now saying that it's
instead of the HR&CE department, it has gone to the
which falls under what? Ministry of Culture or something?
No. Finance ministry is there.
No. HR&CE is also under finance ministry.
No. HR&CE is an independent ministry.
Independent ministry. Okay, sorry, I did not.
Okay. Now the audit wing, the same team.
Got it. Absolutely.
The same practices.
Move this under finance ministry.
Finance department.
Right.
That is the saying, the old wine in new bottle.
Yeah.
They have done that, and they're saying we are now made it external.
Totally separate. Yes, external.
But this audit wing does not even have a single chartered accountant.
They must totally be in cahoots with each other, all government and all.
Absolutely.
So external audit is a farce, totally.
No, they take 4%.
Yeah.
They take 90 crores plus.
From Tamil Nadu,
Tamil Nadu temples, yeah. Not a single chartered accountant employed. More than that, they don't even have an audit manual. How the audit is done? It is done on the based on the surplus of the commissioner, some directions on the commissioner. Very convenient, na? Okay. After all this, there are a lot of deficiencies in the audit. There are a lot of schemes of administration framed by courts saying that this temple has to be administered in this manner. This how this property should be administered. Now that the auditors will not look into the scheme at all. Number one. Number two, if any money is taken by the HR&CE officials from the temple for their department expenses, like commissioner office meeting, they have taken money from here, they have bought a car and given it to the minister or to the commissioner, the auditors will not make any observations. There are a lot of deficiencies, but still there are some good auditors there, God-fearing, somewhat efficient, and they have recorded each year a lot of objections, especially the non-collection of rent from the lands, etc. The wastage of funds they have recorded. And these audit objections are to be resolved within 6 months.
And right now, what is the state?
Okay, now let me tell you the number of audit objections regarding temple administration in Tamil Nadu that are pending as of February 2023, because I have data only till that date. Number of audit objections.
For over many years.
Over many years, and I will tell you from which year also. Take a guess how many audit objections are there? 1.8 million audit objections.
18 lakh.
18 lakhs. 18 lakh audit objections unresolved. And you know from when it is pending? It is pending from 1986. Unresolved audit objections. After 1986, they stopped resolving audit objections. They will do audit.
Who makes these audit objections?
The internal auditors.
The under the finance ministry, whoever is
under the finance ministry is now.
Oh, okay, correct. That
From 1976, it was under the HR&CE department. Let me give you 2-3 examples of audit objections. Tiruchendur Subramania Swami Temple. In one audit period, 5,389 cows donated to the temple went missing. You know, a cow going missing in Tamil Nadu is bad news. It will not end up in somebody else's house. It will end up in somebody else's kitchen.
Yes. It will go
in Kerala.
Kerala and get slaughtered.
Yeah.
Terrible.
5,389 cows, and that was also during DMK period, went missing. The auditors have recorded this. Very disheartening news, but we have to bring this out in the open. You know, nobody donates a patla cow to a temple which will be of no use to the temple. They will be donating a proper cow with milk yielding capabilities and all that.
Yeah.
And one of the observations of the same audit report is the trustees appointed by the DMK government. They were in power at the time. The trustees of the temple have selected 25 cows and taken for their use. The auditors have mentioned that. And they have said the cows were written off saying they were donated to Goshalas. When we went there, in the addresses, there were no Goshalas at all.
So
this is
these are many cases like this available with you, documented, or how does one find out? Just go to audit objections and this is public information?
No, it is not public information. I'll come to that also. 2008, the then commissioner writes to all his subordinates saying that as soon as an audit report is available, is issued by the audit team to the temple, it should be published in the website in downloadable PDF format.
Okay. Not
till date, it's not happened.
2008.
I issued notice. I have filed a party in person case on this before Madras High Court. The party in person in Madras High Court, they have to attend an interview every time they file a case. The court will check, okay, this man has done a proper thing and he is capable of properly presenting in the court, even though it doesn't matter if you have already argued 10 cases.
Yeah.
They will call you each time. My interview is pending. So before this winter vacation, this case will come. Downloadable PDF format is not happening for about 14 years. Okay. Now, the most gruesome thing is, because so many audit objections got accumulated, HR&CE found a way of solving this, solving within brackets. They invented a system called joint sitting, where the executive officers and their own auditors of the department will sit together and say, okay, we'll drop this audit objection. We'll drop this audit objection.
Wonderful.
We'll keep this. We'll drop this. And supposing there is an audit objection in, let's say, in 2009, and it is continuing in 2010, and again it's like, say, a particular register of the temple has to be maintained. They have not maintained it. 2009, the auditor will record the register is not maintained. 2010, the auditor will record the register is still not maintained. 2011 also will maintain that. When it happens for some 5-6 years, in the joint sitting, they will say, the same thing is coming in the previous years. Since this is here, we'll keep the last and drop the other ones. Thousands of crores have not been accounted. I will tell you the immediate impact of it. I am an executive officer in a temple. I will know for sure if I loot this temple properties brazenly in front of everybody, the maximum damage that could happen is it will find a place in audit report. But that audit report, nothing will happen on that. I will get increment. I will get promotions. I will ultimately retire. Nothing will happen. If you have audit objections from 1986, the persons against whom the audit objections were made, many of them have retired. Yeah. Many of them have met with their natural death also.
Yeah.
So, I have filed this case. I will now push the Honorable High Court for an early hearing
This is for external audit.
External audit.
What does this mean? Give us a
What does
color
this mean?
to this.
The most simple and the most compelling reason, HR&CE Act notwithstanding, we have the Income Tax Act,
Yes.
1961 in India. Everybody is subject to that act.
Yes.
The Income Tax Act under section 288, explanation under that section, says if a trust has an income of more than 2 lakh rupees, it has to be audited by a chartered accountant in a particular format.
Okay.
Now,
why doesn't the same thing
Madurai
apply
Temple, take Palani Temple, take Tiruchendur Temple, take Kapalishwar Temple in Chennai. What 2 lakhs? They are getting 2 crores, 20 crores, 200 crores.
So why can't the same thing apply? The same thing should apply here?
Should apply.
Absolutely the same
Income tax should lift the commissioner and put him in the dock for not following it. This should apply. So I have mentioned that in my external audit. I will make a compelling case out of it through arguments. And soon we will have a good result, I'm sure. Because no court can say, no, you need not follow Income Tax Act. You have a 12-year registration.
So the Income Tax Act supersedes the HR&CE Act. I don't know how it works.
It completely supersedes.
So this must apply
in this place. It will not supersede the other provisions. As far as audit is concerned, the Income Tax Act, number one, it's a central act.
Yes. Number
two, it's passed as a financial act and all that. It will completely supersede. And what is their problem?
What is their problem? Connivance, money loot, looting our temples.
There are so many deficiencies already in the system. You know, they don't have double entry bookkeeping system. 21st century HR&CE department.
How do you know this? RTI.
RTI and their practice.
And their practice.
If they take money when a deposit matures, it is treated as an income. It is a capital receipt, Baba. And if they put a deposit in the bank, it is treated as an expense. The problem with single entry is you will never know the actual income and the actual expense of the temple in a precise manner. More importantly, you will never have a balance sheet. So there is so much to be done. And
depressing.
The next case I am going to file regarding audit is this joint sitting has to go. They passed on GO. I will challenge the GO, even though the GO is dated. I got to know about it. I have issued notice. I am going to challenge this joint sitting. Third case is I am going to file a case because this already happened in Kerala, and the Kerala High Court said only double entry bookkeeping should be followed.
Oh.
So I have a precedent there. I can cite it as a precedent. So I will move another case for this. My request to many of the audience who are mostly dharmic people and are interested in temples, they should do something in their states. People living out of Tamil Nadu, or even if living in Tamil Nadu, they should.
People have not come forward. There are only a couple of names, 2-3 names of people who are fighting. You're primarily one of the leading ones. I don't know, sir. No. So Rameshji, we are taking up.
If we can't fight for our father and mother, who are we going to fight for?
So we're trying to work with a law firm and trying to take up the case of the external audit. Let's see where it goes.
By Bhagwan's grace, I have studied the HR&CE Act and other religious endowments for many years. I can help people with illegal petitions if they want to file cases.
No, also, we are at fault also. We were supporting you financially a couple of years after that. It's been just gone. I thought you would.
See, I'm still continuing to do my thing.
I know, but people have
I
to
also
come forward.
take support only from dharmic persons.
Correct.
I never ask.
I know, but also people have to come forward and do this. So we will restart some of this work for your wonderful work. And also this, with your help, we will take up this case independently as well. Let's see how we can collaborate and all. Thank you very much, Rameshji. This has been really wonderful.
Thanks for the opportunity and for being with you and to discuss our favorite subjects.
Wonderful. Thank you. Hopefully, audience, namaste, you enjoyed this session as well. Please help publicize, make snippets out of this. Do give us credit when you do that. A lot of you publicize on Instagram, make reels, shorts and all of that without even removing our logo. Please don't do that. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this session and talk about it. Namaskar, Ramesh.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.